Right now, there are roughly 10,000 commercial flights in the sky simultaneously, each one moving at 500 miles per hour, each one separated from the others by distances that, at those speeds, can close in under 60 seconds. No pilot can see all of them. Air traffic control can't watch all of them. And yet, mid-air collisions between commercial airliners are almost non-existent. That's not luck. There's a system on every commercial aircraft that operates completely independently of pilots and air traffic control, that makes its own decisions, issues its own commands, and has physically moved aircraft out of collision paths thousands of times. Most passengers have never heard of it. You'll never look at cruising altitude the same way again. To understand why this system had to exist, picture the math. Two aircraft closing head-on at 500 miles per hour each, combined closing speed of 1,000 miles per hour. 1 mile per 3.6 seconds. If they're 5 miles apart, you have 18 seconds to react, communicate, decide, and maneuver a 300-ton aircraft before impact. 18 seconds. That includes radio delay, pilot comprehension, crew coordination, and the physical lag of an aircraft that doesn't turn on a dime. For comparison, a human's average reaction time to an unexpected stimulus is about 1.5 seconds, just to register that something is wrong. The sky at cruise altitude isn't empty open space, it's structured airspace, airways, crossing routes, altitude layers, with aircraft converging at speeds that make the window for human intervention dangerously thin. Something had to be faster than a human, and it had to be on the aircraft itself. On September 1, 1978, a Pacific Southwest Airlines 727 collided with a small Cessna over San Diego. 144 people died. It became one of the deadliest aviation disasters in U.S. history at the time. But it wasn't the only one. Mid-air collisions, mostly between commercial and general aviation aircraft, were happening with alarming regularity. Controllers couldn't see everything, pilots couldn't see everything, and radio communication was too slow for closing speeds measured in seconds. The FAA mandated a solution. Engineers spent years developing a system that didn't rely on the ground, didn't rely on radio, and didn't wait for human decision-making. It would use transponders, radio signals every aircraft already emitted, to build a real-time picture of nearby traffic, and it would act on that picture automatically. By 1993, it was mandatory on every commercial aircraft in the U.S. Today, it covers the world. It's called TCAS, Traffic Collision Avoidance System. TCAS does three things. Watch. It constantly interrogates nearby transponders, building a live picture of every aircraft within roughly 40 miles. Predict. It calculates where those aircraft will be in the next 35 to 48 seconds, flagging any that are projected to come dangerously close. Act. If a collision is predicted, it issues a resolution advisory, a direct command to the pilots, climb or descend right now by a specific rate. That's it. Watch, predict, act. But here's the part that makes it genuinely remarkable. TCAS units detect each other simultaneously and negotiate automatically in milliseconds. One gets climb, the other gets descend. Opposite instructions, coordinated wirelessly before either pilot has touched a control. Picture this. You're at 35,000 feet over the ocean. Two aircraft, yours and another, are converging at a shallow angle. Neither crew has spotted the other. Air traffic control is handling a dozen other situations. TCAS on both aircraft has been watching for minutes. At roughly 48 seconds to projected closest approach, it issues a traffic advisory, a heads up. Alert sound, traffic display lights up. The crews know something is nearby. At 35 seconds, the calculation tips into the danger zone. Both TCAS units communicate directly with each other via transponder, a digital handshake that takes milliseconds. They agree on a solution. Aircraft 1 gets the command climb, climb. Aircraft 2 gets descend, descend now. Both cockpits hear the same word, their own instruction, in a calm, synthesized voice. No ambiguity, no interpretation needed. The correct response is trained into every commercial pilot. Disconnect autopilot. Follow the TCAS instruction immediately and precisely. Not the controller's instruction, not your own instinct. TCAS. Think of it like two chess computers playing each other, finding the safest moves simultaneously in a game where both sides need to cooperate to win. Once separation is restored, TCAS announces, clear of conflict. Both aircraft return to their assigned altitudes. The whole event, from first advisory to resolution, often takes under 90 seconds. TCAS being right isn't the hard part. The hard part is getting pilots to follow it, even when every instinct says otherwise. Most people don't realize TCAS can override air traffic control. If a controller issues an instruction that contradicts a TCAS resolution advisory, pilots are trained to follow TCAS every time, without exception. The system's reaction time and coordination capability simply exceeds what ground-based control can achieve in those final seconds. Here's what almost nobody knows. The deadliest mid-air collision of the modern era happened partly because one crew followed ATC instead of TCAS. In 2002, over Oberlingen, Germany, a Russian charter aircraft and a DHL cargo jet were on a collision course. TCAS told the Russian aircraft to descend. The controller, unaware TCAS had activated, simultaneously told them to descend too, reinforcing the wrong choice. The captain followed the controller. The cargo jet, following TCAS correctly, descended as well. Both aircraft went the same direction. 71 people died, most of them children. The accident directly rewrote international protocols. TCAS commands are now absolute. And this detail is quietly brilliant. TCAS doesn't just avoid collisions, it avoids creating new ones in the process. When it issues climb or descend commands, it checks the airspace above and below for other traffic first. It's solving a 3D puzzle in real time, making sure the escape route isn't occupied before it sends you there. Here's the simple truth underneath it all. TCAS exists because humans, brilliant, trained, experienced humans, operate at the edge of what's physically possible in those final seconds. Reaction time, communication lag, and the sheer speed of a closing aircraft create a window too narrow for even the best crew to reliably navigate alone. So we built something that doesn't blink, doesn't hesitate, doesn't wait for a radio response. The sky feels safe at 35,000 feet because an invisible system is constantly doing math that humans can't do fast enough and acting on it before we even know there's a problem. That's not a backup. That's the design. Now here's something even more interesting. TCAS handles aircraft avoiding each other, but what about the ground? There's a separate system, one that watches terrain, detects when an aircraft is descending somewhere it absolutely shouldn't be, and shouts a warning in the cockpit with seconds to spare. It saved hundreds of flights, and the story of how we figured out we needed it is darker than you'd expect. That's the next video.